guys! So here we are again at the end of yet another month this year. I don't know where this year has gone, but it is flying by. So, two quick things. First off, this video is going to be my March and April wrap-up because I never got to upload my March wrap-up. I've had very big technical difficulties this past month, and by the time I was able to even get it uploaded, it was basically almost done with March, and I figured I might as well just combine the two since I kind of did like marathoning a series, so I figured it would be more beneficial to just combine these two together. Secondly, I did reorganize my bookshelves. I know a lot of people liked how I did the color thing, and it looked really cool, but I have so many books on my TBR, and it was getting really crazy because this shelf behind me used to be just strictly like my TBR books, and my shelf that was across from me over there was all of my read books. So both shelves were kind of getting a little full for my liking, so I decided to kind of try something new out. Basically, my new method is I have put all of my TBR books, I have a little like cube thing right over here, and I stuck them all in that cube, and it's like overflowing. But I decided that as I read the books, if I decided that I liked it enough and if I would reread it, it will make it onto my shelf, because I found that I was holding on to a lot of books that some of them I didn't enjoy and some of them I've read but I didn't necessarily plan on ever rereading it, and so I had to really question myself on that, because it's kind of like, why hold on to a book that you're never going to read again when someone else might get more enjoyment out of it. Alright, so now that that's out of the way, I will hurry and jump into my March and April wrap-up. The first book I finished in March was Cress by Marissa Meyer. This is the third book in the Lunar Chronicles, I believe. And I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I think this is probably my favorite of the series so far. My favorite character is still Cinder, but as far as the storyline goes, I feel like it just keeps getting better and better in each book, and more is just building to this final moment. So I'm really excited. I cannot wait for winter to come out. And I'm really excited because we got introduced to that character in this book, and all the other ones you were never introduced to the character who's the next book is going to introduce to you. You just, maybe it was mentioned. And from what I've read about Winter, I'm very intrigued. If you guys have read it, let me know what you guys think of it. I'm actually really excited. I think I'm going to end up really liking Winter's character. I'm definitely want to know more about her, so loved it. I loved where the storyline went, so 5 out of 5 stars. The next 3 books I read are actually, I guess, part of a series, and it is by Abby Glines, and it is the Fallen Too Far series, I believe is what it's called. I might be wrong. The first one is Fallen Too Far, the second is Never Too Far, and the third is Forever Too Far. I really wanted to read a book by Abby Glines, and I've been looking around and trying to see what series a lot of people were loving. This particular genre, I believe, is a new adult, but it's actually one of my more favorites of the new adults. I find with this genre, it's kind of hard to pick through and find the gems, because sometimes you get some very questionable books in the new adult genre, but this one I ended up really liking. I ended up giving all these books 4.5 to 5 star ratings. Real quick, it's about a girl whose mother recently passes away, and she goes to find her father, who left them when she was a teenager after this horrible accident that involved him and her twin sister, and it killed her twin sister, and the dad just couldn't deal after that, so he ended up bailing. So kind of as a last resort, she needs some support from her dad just so she could get on her feet, so she could take care of herself. She goes and finds out where he lives and finds this big like mansion type house, and finds out real quick that her father and his new wife are gone out of the country, and his stepson is watching over the house. When the two first meet, they do not like each other. He thinks that she's just trying to mooch off of them, so he offers her a room, but he makes her basically Harry Potter style. He makes her sleep under the pantry, like under the stairs in this little pantry room. It's really sad, but she just thinks he's like the stuck-up player jerk thing, so they kind of clash, but of course, this being an adult, they find out more about each other, and they kind of, something very cute grows between the two of them, so I really liked it. I know it's a pretty vague synopsis, but I don't want to say too much without spoiling, because there's quite a lot that happens in these series. The next 2 books I think are, I don't know if it's like part of a series or if it's a duology, but the first book is called Bully, and the second one is called Until You by Penelope Douglas. I came across these books through Goodreads. I saw a lot of people reading these during this month, and the synopsis kind of intrigued me. Lately I've found that I love stories that deal with like problems that we face today, and bullying is definitely a very big problem that's going on in especially schools right now. So I did read these in kind of towards the beginning of March, so I can't really remember the characters' names all that well, but the main female and male characters, they start off as best friends and kind of grow up together, and they've been like attached ever since. And one summer he gets the opportunity to go spend with his father, who he's never really met or talked to up until that point. So he goes off, and when he comes back, he's like this whole different person. He's really angry. He all of a sudden just hates her, and he wants nothing to do with her. She doesn't know why, and he starts pushing her away. And then it kind of escalates to the point where he starts bullying her. It just gets to the point, I think it was like her sophomore year, where she couldn't take it anymore. So she takes a year off and goes to Europe, I believe, to do like a year study abroad thing, and makes a little pact with herself that when she comes back for her senior year, she's not going to let this boy ruin her life anymore, and she's going to finally take a stand, and if he does anything to her, she's just going to fight back and give it right back to him. What I really liked was the message that the author gave. It's kind of like not the obvious message, but that there's like basically two forms of bullying. Like there's always the obvious bully who's picking on you, but you can become a bully yourself by retaliating and just doing the same thing back to the bully. And that's kind of a message that the author was given to the readers on this one. And I ended up really enjoying it. I gave the first book a 4-star, and then the second book I gave a 4.5-star to. The second book is basically just a retelling from the main boy's point of view. So the next thing I picked up this month was a novella, and that is The Guard by Cress. I ended up giving this one a 3 out of 5 stars, only because like it was enjoyable just as much as novellas are, but I felt like her first novella kind of gave you more information, like not because I'm just, you know, biased with Maxon, but like you got a story before the selection, you got to see some of his life before the selection and kind of his point of view and his thoughts going into it. And even though you got Aspen's thoughts, it was more like during what you've already read in the Elite, I believe. And it was nice because it kind of refreshed my memory before the one comes out and certain events, but I just didn't feel like it gave me any like real new information that I was kind of wowed by. And the next book I picked up in March was Pivot Point by Casey West, and I picked up the second book in April. It was like the first book I read in April, really, and that was Split Second by Casey West. And I believe this is a duology. I could be wrong, but I think there's just 2 books in this. I ended up giving Pivot Point a 4.5 stars, and I gave Split Second a 5-star, I believe. These books basically deal with the main character who can see into the future only if posed a question where she can have like one of 2 options. And the option that she's faced with in the very beginning is her parents are getting a divorce, and they let her choose which parent that she wants to live with. The catch is she lives within this compound where people with special abilities, kind of like her own, live, and her mom is going to remain in the compound, but her dad is moving out with basically the rest of America, and she's never lived outside, so she's kind of nervous, but she ends up doing a search through both realities, I guess, to see which one she would fit with the best. But while she's doing this search, there's a serial killer going around, and in both futures, she could see how it affects her in both ways. So I think that these are very, very good reads. It was such a quick read. I think I read these both almost in like 1 or 2 sittings. Alright, the last book I picked up at the very end of March. This one was probably my most requested to read, and I decided to pick this up mostly because of Sharon from Magnificent Books. She absolutely raves about this series, and I've found that me and her have like very same taste of books. I tend to enjoy the same things that she does and vice versa, so I trust her opinion highly, and I decided I have to pick this up and see why she loves it so much, and I do not regret it. And of course that is Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And I ended up reading the next 3 in this series in April, and the second one is Onyx, I hope I said that right, Opal, and Origin. And these covers aren't my favorite. They are kind of cheesy, but I don't know. I think they just look so cool on my shelf. I just love the spines and everything. I gave each book in the series a 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely devoured this. I could not put it down. Horrible for my homework, but I don't regret it. I gotta say, one of my favorite things going on with this series is I think this is the first book series that I've read where the main character is a book blogger and she like uploads videos in hauls and in my mailboxes and reviews, and I thought, holy crap, it's like Jennifer L. Armentrout was just writing this series for us booktubers, and I loved it. If there's any of you guys out there who haven't read it like I had, basically it's about this girl who moves into a new town and she quickly learns that there's something up with her new neighbors. Next door to her are these two twins, a boy and a girl, and whereas the girl is really friendly and wants to become friends with Katie, the boy, Damon, wants nothing to do with her, doesn't want her hanging around. And as weeks pass, Katie kind of learns that there's something up with these two twins, as well as going around in the town. There's like all these unexplained events happening, and it kind of did have a little bit of a Twilight feel to it, and I kind of expected it because a lot of people said, but I don't think it was to the point where some people thought it was like a replica of Twilight. I don't think it was. I just think there were similarities, but I still enjoyed it. I have nothing against Twilight, and I loved Obsidian. The last book I read in the month of April is Poison Princess by Cress. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. The reason I docked this a star is because it is kind of hard to get into right away because you are just thrown right into this world, and for me, I don't know if it was just me, but I was kind of confused as to what's going on because you're just literally like thrown into it without too much explanation right away, and it was just kind of like confusing, and it was a little bit slower, but once I picked up, I could not put this book down for the life of me. I do plan on doing an actual video review of this, and it will be up soon, so I won't go into too much detail on it because this book just needs its own explanation as to what's going on. Basically, it's a post-apocalyptic novel that deals with the end of the world, and the main character, Evie, has these visions of the end of the world, and when they come true, she starts getting a little freaked out. Definitely makes for a fun read, and oh my gosh, I'm so excited for like the rest of the books in this series. I love the setup for this. Basically, now this isn't a spoiler, this is basically what this book deals with. But the main character, Evie, is our major arcana player, and what I mean by that is this book focuses on these tarot cards. And if you don't know what tarot cards are, they're like the cards fortune tellers use with the little characters on them. And all those characters on them are the major arcana. Now she knows that there's this war going on with all these arcana players, and that the goal is, it's kind of like a game. And she knows that it happens every so many years, and she comes to learn that this happens every so many hundreds of years, and the main point is to be the last one standing, but she still has no idea as to like the significance of the game, what she's supposed to do. So like I said, she has to go find her grandma to get these answers, and that's just barely scratching the surface of what this book is about. I really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for the rest of the books in this series. Okay, that was my March and April wrap-up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you read in the month of March or April, or if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned and what your thoughts are on them. I would love to talk about it. So with that, I will see you guys in my next video, which is hopefully my May TBR. So I will see you guys next time. Bye!